Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Pierre-Luc Allard. I'm a software developer at BAASS Business Solutions. And today in this video we'll be talking about BAASS Bridge Salesforce. So what is BAASS Bridge Salesforce exactly? Well, it's an application that serves to communicate data between Salesforce and Sage 300. You'll also have the ability to map the fields that you'd like to have for both sides. And it's also dynamic in terms that you can also match the optional fields from your system. You can also select what module that you want to use for transferring data, and we'll take care of the data management. And if you ever require a automated system, we also have a Windows service for this. So the Salesforce Bridge can currently communicate between 5 types of data, whether it's from Sage 300 to Salesforce or Salesforce to Sage 300. We have the accounts receivable customers, the inventory items, the contracts, the orders, and the accounts receivable invoices. But the bridge doesn't restrict us from only these 5 types. We can add in the future other types like the accounts payables, purchase order, etc. Alright, so we'll start this demo by showing you a quick view of what the setting looks like. So first of all, we'll need to go in Files and then Settings. So as you can see here, there's a few settings that needs to be set up just for the bridge to be working. So we have the Sage 300 settings, Salesforce settings, and just some default values here. And then we have a connection with the databases. And then here you can set up what module you'd like to have to do the transfer from one application to the other to transfer the data. Okay, so now that we're done with the settings, let's go ahead and have a look at how we do the mapping of these field types. So what we need to do here is go on Files and then Mapping. So what you see here is a list of Sage 300 fields. All the fields are there with their description included. And then when you look at the Salesforce column, what you can do is select the field that you would like to match it with. So if you go here, you can hover over the Salesforce field, and as you can see, there's actually a description on the right side that explains what that field is. So that way you can properly match the field to the Sage 300 field. As you can see here, I have a few fields that are already mapped. There's some validation in there just to make sure that some required field should be in the matching. So here, as you can see, the customer number is matched to the account number. If I would not do that match here and I would hit the process button, it would give me an error just to let me know that this is needed because it's the unique field to do the matching. But I also have other fields matched in there, like the customer name, the city, and it's the same for all columns here. So I just have, like right now I have mostly just the minimal matching fields in here, but as you can see there's still some matching done in all of these tables. And what's nice about this is that you can also match optional fields, so it's very dynamic. So every time you open the mapping table, it looks inside Sage 300 and Salesforce to see if there's any new optional fields on these field types. So for example here, in Sage, in my IC setup, so I've got a few optional fields set up here on my end. So if I have a look at brand, you can see it here. So the brand is an optional field added in the mapping. And then inside Salesforce, if I have a look at my objects, and I go into the products, since the products is the items for Sage 300, and then I go at my fields and relationship, I have a field called extra description that I've added myself here as an extra field. And inside the mapping, you'll see that I have the extra description here. So if I would want to, I could match my brand with my extra description as an example. Okay, so for our first example, let's go ahead and try a process. So for the first process, we'll be transferring data from Sage 300 to Salesforce. So as you can see here, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a customer, contracts, items, invoices, and orders, and then hit the process button. And we'll see that all of that information being transferred to Salesforce. So let me go ahead and open Sage. Okay, so the first thing that we'll be doing is creating a customer. Alright, so let's call our customer Tom Jones. So let's just do customer number T Jones. Tom Jones. And he'll be in the Canadian GST group. And his tax is GST here. And just let's put his city to Toronto here. There you go. So we've created our customer, and now let's go ahead and create a contract. Now the reason why we have the contract here is because in Salesforce, the contract is mandatory when you create an order. So this is why here we need to maintain the contracts. So my last contract here was 150, so let's just go ahead and do 151. And we'll go ahead and add our new customer here, Tom Jones, with our account sample. And the original end date is mandatory, so let's just go ahead and put November 11th. Right, so we've created our contract, and now let's go ahead and create an item in the inventory control. Okay, so I love lobster on barbecue, so let's go ahead and do barbecue lobster. Lobster, oops. With a general structure, and it's gonna go in my just a random category here, and the Canadian price list with a default unit of measure of LB. There you go. So our item is created. And let's go ahead and create an order right now. So again, we'll be using our new customer here, Tom Jones. And Tom Jones likes barbecue chicken. Now I'm not putting barbecue lobster here because when you create the item first in Salesforce, you need to assign the price list on it. So I've already assigned the price list on barbecue chicken, so this is why we're using this one here. So the location is 1, and quantity ordered is 5. And let's go ahead and post this one. There we go. Alright, and last but not least, it's the invoices, the AR invoice. So let's go ahead and create an invoice here manually. And the way we map the invoice with Salesforce is with the opportunity. So this is just something that one of their client needed to do for the matching. But if you don't need it, you can check it out, but it's an option here. So yeah, let's create a new invoice. With our customer number Tom Jones, and we'll be using barbecue chicken again here. and add this one here. There you go. So now that all of my item has been created, I can hit the process button here. And what you'll be seeing is just all of the work being done to transfer that data to Salesforce. There you go. So all of the information is now in Salesforce. So let's go ahead and look at that information right now. So if you go in Salesforce, and look at, we'll start with our customer, which is the account inside Salesforce. As you can see, we have our new account here called Tom Jones. And you can see that we have one opportunity linked with this client. And if we look at details, you can see that his billing address city is in Toronto. For the contracts, my new contract is here, which is 151. And then in the items, which is the products inside Salesforce, so you can see that I have my new barbecue lobster here item. And now let's go look at the orders. So I've got my new order here, which is 42 with the account name Tom Jones. And the barbecue chicken that we've added for the product with the quantity. I didn't set up the unit price on this one yet, so this is why you're seeing 0 here. And then we've linked the opportunities with the AR invoices. So you'll see here that this is the one that I've created with Tom Jones, with, again, my barbecue chicken linked to this opportunity. And this is how we do the transfer from Sage 300 to Salesforce. All right, so for our second example, we'll be transferring data from Salesforce to Sage 300. So the first thing that you need to do is go ahead in the settings and change the way that we're transferring data. So instead of transferring from Sage 300 to Salesforce, we'll do Salesforce to Sage 300. And in this example, we'll do a little bit of different things just to give you a gist of what it's doing. So we'll go ahead and do a customer modification and create a new order. But because the contracts are linked with the order, contracts need also to be included in here, or else I would get an error during the process. So let's go ahead and save this. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the Tom Jones account. And so let's say that he moved to Ottawa. So we're going to change his city to Ottawa and apply the change to Sage 300. So we'll go ahead and edit this account here. And change the city to Ottawa. There you go. So Tom Jones was saved. And now let's go ahead in orders and create a new order. So we need to select our contract here, and it's mandatory. So we'll go ahead and use the Tom Jones contract that we've created. And then the account name will also be using Tom Jones. And we'll say that today was the start date of the order. So we're going to go ahead and save this and then create a product inside the order. And we'll go ahead and take our barbecue chicken again for this example. Click Next. And we'll put a quantity of 5. The unit price has already been set here, so let's just save this. There we go. So we're going to set our order to status activated. Perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and start the bridge again. And what it's going to do is it's going to create this order, and it's going to update the account of Tom Jones City to Ottawa. So let's go ahead and process this. There you go. So now let's go ahead and have a look into Sage and see what happened. So we'll go ahead and fetch our Tom Jones account. And as you can see here, his city was changed to Ottawa. So let's keep that as it is. And now let's have a look at our order entry. So I'm going to go ahead and have a look at what the order number was that I've created. So it's order number 133. There you go, and have a look. So this is the order that we've just created. We got the barbecue chicken with our quantity of 5 and the unit price of 5. And this is how the transfer to Salesforce to Sage 300 is being created. So as you know here, we have this application where you have to hit the process button and everything. But we also have a Windows service where we can install on your computer, and it will do the process automatically. So you won't need to hit that process button if you don't need to. So it could be like a daily process that you do, an hourly process to sync the data. But this is how this application works in general. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and hope you have a good understanding on how Salesforce Bridge works.